In a world where masks are worn more frequently than faces are shown, the ancient Stoics understood something profound about human nature. They knew that beneath the carefully constructed facades, the polished presentations, and the strategic displays of charm lies the unvarnished truth of who someone really is. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, once wrote that we should observe not what people say, but what they do when they believe no one is watching. The Stoics taught us that character is not revealed in moments of comfort or convenience, but in the quiet spaces between our public performances, in the reactions we have when life strips away our defenses, and in the choices we make when the stakes are highest and the audience is smallest. The first revealing moment comes when you observe how someone treats those who hold no power over their future, who cannot advance their career, who cannot improve their social status, and who cannot offer them anything of material value. Watch closely how they speak to the waiter who serves their food, the janitor who cleans their office, the elderly person who moves slowly in their path, or the child who accidentally bumps into them. Seneca reminded us that true nobility is not about being superior to others, but about being superior to your former self. When someone shows kindness, patience, and respect to those who cannot reciprocate with favors or influence, they reveal a character rooted in virtue rather than transaction. They demonstrate that their goodness is not a tool for manipulation, but a fundamental part of their being. Conversely, when someone is dismissive, rude, or condescending to those they perceive as beneath them, they expose a character built on hierarchy and self-interest, showing you exactly how they will treat you when you can no longer serve their purposes. The second window into someone's soul opens wide when adversity strikes, when plans crumble, when unexpected challenges arise, and when the comfortable predictability of life gives way to chaos. Epictetus, who knew suffering intimately as a former slave, taught that we cannot control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. In moments of crisis, pressure, or disappointment, the true architect of someone's character is revealed. Do they become bitter, blaming everyone else for their misfortune? Do they lash out at innocent bystanders, using their pain as an excuse to inflict pain on others? Or do they maintain their composure, take responsibility for what they can control, and continue to treat others with dignity, even as their own world seems to be falling apart? The person who remains steady in the storm, who does not let external circumstances corrupt their internal values, who chooses grace over grievance when life becomes difficult, is someone whose character has been forged in the fires of philosophical discipline and genuine strength. The third and perhaps most revealing test comes when someone gains power, success, influence, or control over others. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply, having been given ultimate power as emperor, yet choosing to remain a servant to virtue and wisdom. Power is the great revealer because it removes the external constraints that often keep our baser impulses in check. When someone achieves success, gets promoted, gains wealth, or finds themselves in positions of authority, watch carefully how they wield that newfound influence. Do they become arrogant, forgetting the struggles that brought them to their current position? Do they use their power to elevate themselves at the expense of others, or do they use it to lift up those around them? The person of true character remembers that power is temporary, that success is fragile, and that how we treat others when we have the upper hand reveals the content of our souls. They remain humble, accessible, and committed to using their influence for the greater good rather than personal aggrandizement. These three moments of revelation teach us something profound about the nature of human character. They show us that who someone truly is cannot be discovered through their carefully curated social media presence, their polished professional demeanor, or their ability to say the right things in the right situations. Character is revealed in the unguarded moments, in the spaces between our public performances, in the reactions we have when we think no one is measuring our response. The Stoics understood that authentic character is consistent character, that virtue is not something we put on and take off like clothing, but something that permeates every aspect of our being, especially when we believe ourselves to be unobserved. This wisdom serves two essential purposes in our lives. First, it helps us choose our companions, friends, and partners more wisely. When we understand these three tests of character, we can observe the people around us with greater clarity and patience. We can look beyond surface-level charm and charisma to see the deeper patterns of behavior that reveal someone's true values and intentions. This doesn't mean we judge others harshly or look for reasons to dismiss them, but rather that we observe with the discernment of philosophers who understand that not everyone who appears trustworthy actually is, and that our inner circle should be composed of people whose character has been tested and proven through their actions rather than their words. Second, and perhaps more importantly, this knowledge challenges us to examine our own character with the same philosophical rigor. When we understand how character is revealed, we become more conscious of our own behavior in these crucial moments. We begin to ask ourselves difficult questions. How do I treat people who cannot help me advance my goals? What kind of person do I become when things go wrong and my plans are disrupted? How do I handle power, success, and influence when they come my way? The Stoics taught that the examined life is the only life worth living, and this examination must be ruthlessly honest if it is to be of any value. The ultimate goal is not to become a perfect judge of others, but to become someone whose character needs no mask, whose behavior is consistent regardless of the audience, and whose virtue is not dependent on external circumstances. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that we have the power to choose our response to every situation, and that this choice is perhaps the most important freedom we possess. When we understand that our character is constantly being revealed through our actions, we can begin the lifelong work of ensuring that what others see is something worthy of respect and admiration. In the end, the ancient Stoics offer us a profound gift: the wisdom to see clearly, the courage to choose wisely, and the discipline to become the kind of person we would want to discover when we apply these three tests of character. They remind us that in a world full of deception and self-interest, the greatest revolution we can participate in is the revolution of authentic character, lived consistently and offered freely to a world that desperately needs examples of virtue in action. The question is not whether your character will be revealed, but whether you will be proud of what others discover when they look closely enough to see who you really are.